From the beginning of recorded time, men have been seeing unexplainable things in the sky.
Are we alone in the universe? In the universe.
We have not been hiding anything.
All right, what's up, guys?
What's going on, War Fam?
Well,
We're back.
Ryan and JT,
That's right, guys.
we're here.
The Horror Chronicles is here.
Yeah.
For now, until they get freaking,
Until they kick us off.
they beam us up and then they probe us.
And then they prove.
Well, we might, with tonight's episode, that might just happen. But that's no different than any episode.
So tonight we're talking about aliens. We've got online and found some cool videos of different UFO encounters or sightings, however you want to put it. And tonight we're going to talk about some of that. But
We actually got a lot of our videos from, was it AFO?
AFO, yeah. We got to give a shout out to AFO
Go check
on
out-
YouTube. Go check out their channel, man. They've
check
got
out
some
their
cool
channel.
stuff, man. Cool stuff. But yeah. So we're gonna get into that momentarily.
Yes.
So
We're,
so right now, what the hell have you been doing
me, I just,
other than rolling FedEx trucks?
yeah, baby. Hey, it wasn't me.
Damn, we should have put that video in here.
This is what
It
happens.
was,
This is what happens when aliens.
pretty crazy.
When aliens probe you.
Dude, I worked with a guy at the fucking tire shop one time, and one of his things that he would always say to a customer about road hazard is, he said, road hazard will cover everything. I don't care if aliens come down and shoot out your tire with their ray gun, I'm going to cover it.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So maybe that's what happened to your driver.
Right. That's probably what happened.
Alien came down and shot out his tire.
We'll blame that. That sounds like something we could tell the insurance company. Listen, I don't know where you're from, but around here, it's very possible aliens came down.
We got aliens.
Shot out with a ray gun.
Yeah.
But anyways, no, man, I've been busy, just working, and I've been working on the Jeep, and
Well, cool.
I actually built Krista she's been wanting like a raised flower bed, or not flower bed, but garden, like a garden bed thing. So
Yeah,
I built her one of those for Valentine's Day
Nice.
from my own two hands.
Here you go, honey. You get to go to work for VD.
Yeah, not no freaking store bought,
Oh, speaking of that,
build by numbers.
look at my little guy that Ryan gave me. I don't know if you can.
It's a dragon.
Get
Get your mind, get your minds out of the gutter.
It's a dragon.
Jeez,
Let me see if I can
guys.
Get that close. Yeah. Dragon.
If you're just listening to this, you got to go over our damn YouTube page.
Yeah, you'll
and
have to check
the
out
video.
that.
We're not
Yeah,
going to tell you what it is.
It's bizarre.
You're going to check it out.
Bizarre.
But anyways, yeah, man, just doing that.
He comes in, he says, "Hey, I got some D&D stuff." I didn't know it was D&B.
Dicky balls.
It was pretty rough, man. Pretty rough.
But no, man, just doing that. Living a dream, writing, doing a little stuff for this episode, and this one's going to be interesting, man. There's a lot of crap going on.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff going on in the media and the government. Of course, we talked about weeks and weeks and maybe even months or years ago. Maybe it just seems that long. We talked about this, oversight committee and what they have got going on. And, if you didn't see any of that footage, it was very, very enlightening.
This is interesting.
Our government knows what's going on and they won't tell us. Go figure.
Well, the question about it is really, it's like, what is going on? It's either they know that something's going on, or they're trying to distract from something else that's going on.
Right.
But just the simple fact that
Could be both.
Yes, 100%. The simple fact that they took the time to have a committee hearing and all this stuff and do all this on the news and whatnot. I mean, it's telling,
Right.
And then you have these people coming out talking about it, and some of them very credible, some of them not. But I mean, it's a kind of,
some of them are idiots, some of them aren't.
we're all idiots in our own way. But no, it's very interesting, the fact that they're finally talking about that stuff. And I mean, honestly, before we get into some of these videos we're going to watch and stuff and go over, I was thinking when we were going to do this episode, like, because you're a science guy, so
JT, the science guy.
JT probably knows more than that science guy.
Maybe it's
Anyway.
kind of weird.
Anyways, no. So from what you your I don't know, knowledge or just the way you think about things, what do you think is more probable? The fact that a UFO or whatever you want to call it comes from outer space somewhere, light years and light years away, takes so long to get here, blah blah, or that there's more of a portal type thing of that opens up a break in time or whatever you want to call it.
So, I've been fascinated with science and space my whole life, and I look at it's really hard to look at space with our intellectual level because space is so vast. It takes tens of thousands of light years to travel anywhere. Even our nearest star, not counting our sun, but our next closest neighbor is 4.6 light years away. 4.6 light years, that's like almost 6 trillion miles. For us at current technology to be able to travel that far, I think I remember I calculated it was like somewhere around 130,000 years is what it would take for us to get there.
That's crazy.
That's insane when you think about it as time. So in my mind, and science has worked on this, and they theorized that you can actually warp space and time and create essentially a wormhole. Basically what they theorize is if you can travel fast enough, you can almost bend space. You got to imagine it like a piece of paper. To get from one end of the paper to the other would take a long time, but if you fold that paper in half, it's instantaneous to get from one end to the other.
Right.
And so there's a big theory about this space-time continuum or something. I don't really know.
The flux capacitor.
If we can actually warp space, and we do know that space will warp because we've actually been able to see that around the edges of black holes. If you look at a black hole, and I'm not talking about your butthole.
I was gonna say, baby, watch out.
If you look at a black hole,
I had Chinese last night.
you can see the space around the black hole warping. Black holes are extremely dense and extremely heavy. And if you could look at them on a plane,
I don't go. People are
not an
holes.
airplane, but if you could look at them on a straight plane, you would actually see that the plane would fold in the center where the black hole is. So we know that it's theoretically possible. Of course, our brains cannot comprehend that kind of thing or create something that could do that. Or can we?
That's what I was gonna say. I'm more along the lines of humans are a lot more special than we think.
Oh, we're special. Right.
They just
Special
put us. Yeah, they just put us freaking. They make us think that we're not. That's the way I look at it. I think there's a lot more to it than.
So what are you saying? Is it society as a whole, or the government, or a combination of both that is holding us back?
It's everything. I think the fact that we said the government, and it's like, what do you mean by government? Because we all know that our government is not going to have capability to do anything. But what I'm getting at is that there's some people who
I did not have sexual relations with that alien.
Well, those blue. Well, never mind. Evidently, you've never seen Splice. What is it called?
Splice. Yeah.
But no. What I was saying is like, I think that we let ourselves get distracted so much anymore that we're not connected the way we used to be. We talked about this before.
Yeah.
And I think that, in all honesty, we look at it from different. You can look at it at different ways. Like we're talking about UFOs now, but if you look at it like in the paranormal world, you know, if you're with a group of people who really believe and who really think that something can happen, they may make that happen.
Groupthink.
Right. Now, if you agree with a group of people who like are just like, what's going on Twitter right now? Like, you're probably not going to
Right.
have that. Your brain power. I believe that human mind is what, you know, can make that shit function, make it happen. You know, that we have the power there.
Yeah. Yeah. Groupthink, mass hysteria. Those are all things that can happen. And, you know,
Excellent segue.
that's an excellent segue into the story we're getting ready to talk about. Now, we're not going to spend the whole episode talking about this story because so many people have talked about it.
Right.
We just had to bring it up. We've got a lot of well, I'll just say it. We got a lot of shit to get through tonight. And so we're going to get started. So what we're going to start on here is we're going to talk about the aerial school UFO incident. Now, this incident occurred on September 16th of 1994. And what, pray tell, is September 16th of 1994?
The aerial school UFO incident?
No, that was my no, that was my 23rd birthday.
Look at you.
Yeah.
You did
But
it.
anyway, September 16th, 1994, there was a UFO sighting, not just one, but numerous sightings, outside Ruwa, Zimbabwe. 62 pupils at the aerial school, aged between 6 and 12, said that they saw one or more silver craft descend from the sky and land on a field near their school. Now, what's interesting about this, there's a lot interesting about this, and that's why we're talking about it. So you have all these kids from the school, and yes, there's more than 60 kids in the school, but there were a bunch of kids out on the playground because it was recess time. And several of these children claimed to have seen what looked like some sort of silvery saucer-shaped, silvery saucer-shaped.
Silvery saucer.
Sally sells seashells on the seashore. Anyway. Anyway, they saw this silver saucer shaped. God, man, try and say that 3 times.
It's a new song.
Anyway, it descended from that's going to be a new Lunatic song here pretty soon. It descended from the sky and landed in a field right outside their playground. Well, it was outside the school property, but the school is in
Right.
Well, it's in Zimbabwe, so I've never been there, so I don't really know, but I've seen footage, so I do know. The school is surrounded by woods and fields and stuff, and there were numerous accounts from these children that claimed they had seen this, you know, anomaly. And several children claimed to have actually seen a being or beings come out of these spacecraft and talk to them.
Yeah, so they were all dressed in black.
Now, they didn't talk to them.
They telepathically communicated with them.
They telepathetically communicated with them.
Do we put the pathetic and telepath?
We do. We put the whatever.
Yeah,
what he said.
What
he said. So it's crazy. This story was dubbed the most remarkable close encounter of the third kind of the 1990s. There are several people out there that have looked at this story, some professional, some not professional, and claimed that it was a form of mass hysteria. I don't know that I agree with that, and the reason why is we're going to go through some of this footage here and let you hear from the doctor. There was this doctor from Harvard University that went out there, John Mack, and interviewed these kids. And he didn't just interview them as, while they were children. He went back years later and talked to them again. All these kids had very similar stories about this incident. And you know, you look at that and you think, okay, a bunch of kids, you know, one kid says, hey, I saw a flying saucer over there. Well, you would believe that maybe 2 or 3 other kids would jump on board and say, or maybe 10 would jump on board and say, yeah, I saw that too. I saw. But we're talking 62 children claim to have seen the same thing. And when they separated these kids and started doing interviews with them, it was all their accounts of it were eerily similar. So, you know, you're talking 6 to 12-year-old kids are not going to be able to now. Like if Ryan and I wanted to fucking lie to you fuckers about a bunch of shit,
Like we do all
we
the
could
time.
get our shit together and tell you some blatant ass fucking story. But we're talking about 6 to 12-year-old children.
Well, not only that, but they're not American kids, so they're not little, they're not little
no.
lying assholes.
America, fuck yeah. So I personally don't believe in the whole mass hysteria aspect of this story. I do believe in mass hysteria. I just don't believe that that's what happened here.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, it's a situation where you gotta think for children of these ages to come up with this story, and all of them, like you remember the game Telephone. So by the time you remember that game,
No.
so you sit in a circle. One person,
was there jerking involved?
No, there's a joint. No, you sit in a circle. I tell you a sentence. You tell the next person. You
Gotcha.
whisper it.
Yeah.
And
By
you
the
whisper
time
By
it
the time it gets back to you, it is nothing near what you said.
It's completely different. Yeah, I have heard about that.
So with these kids, you would figure some of it would not keep its structure as a
Right.
story of what happened.
And what's interesting is when you watch interviews with these kids as adults, they're still telling the same story. And these kids, when they were given these interviews, you could tell that they were scared to death. You know,
Right.
So these kids saw this stuff, and you know, they told their teachers, and their teachers just kind of blew it off because, of course, none of the adults saw it. So these kids went home and told their parents. Well, then the next day, a bunch of the parents showed up at the school, and I mean, I would too. I'd be like, look, what the fuck did you do to my kid? You know, why is my kid coming home telling me that there's aliens and they're probing their butt?
What's going on?
What's going on here? So the BBC got involved in this. So like I said, this happened in September. There was a correspondent from the BBC that visited the school 3 days later on the 19th to film interviews with the kids. After investigating this incident, this guy stated, you know, I could handle war zones, but I could not handle this. He visited the school on the 20th of September, and there was a different correspondent visited on the 20th of September, and this woman interviewed some of the children and asked them to draw pictures of what they had seen. She reported that the children all told her the same story.
Which have video of it.
And a lot of the images and stuff are, a lot of the drawings that they drew are very similar. Well, in November, this Harvard University professor, and this guy is a Pulitzer Prize winning author. His name is John Mack. He visited the school to interview some of these kids, and he interviewed them several times throughout the 90s. Let's go over, and we're going to pull in some of this info so that you can hear it and see it for yourself. So if you're not on the YouTube stream, you won't see the video, of course, because you're not on the YouTube. But if you want to see if you want to see some of this video, just head over to YouTube and just punch in Horror Chronicles, and it'll take you right to us. So here we go.
Both of them were running. One was running in the trees, and the other one was running across the ship, because there were also trees here.
The eyes were like more pointed as they came in toward the center of the head, is that?
No, more circular. And this was all black.
All black. Now you've made pupils. Did they actually have pupils or black?
White.
What?
The pupils were white like that.
You saw white in the center?
Yes, like that.
Was he near the silver object, or was he far from
That was on top.
On top of the silver object, okay. And did you look at him?
Yes.
Did he look at you?
Yes, then he gave me the creeps, then I stopped looking
Gave you
at
the
him.
creeps. Actually, in your drawing, you showed him standing up, didn't you?
Yes, I had to draw him standing up because I couldn't draw him sitting.
Yeah, it's just crazy when you hear from these kids, and they're all drawing these pictures. Every one of them is very similar.
Mhm.
They talk about the eye structure and different things, and it's crazy.
What I thought was maybe the world's going to end. Maybe they're telling us the world's going to end.
Why do you think they might want us to be scared?
Because because we don't look after the planet, the area properly.
And is this an idea that you have had before, that we don't look after the planet properly in the air, or did this idea come to you when you had this experience?
When I had this experience.
And how did that idea come to you from this experience? This is a little hard, but try to be with me here, okay? How did this idea come to you when you had this experience?
I just felt all horrible inside.
You felt horrible. At what point did you feel that? When you saw the craft, or when you got home at night? Or
When I got home.
You had that horrible feeling when you got home?
Yes.
And say more about that horrible feeling, Lisa. What was it like?
It was like in the world, all the trees will just go down and there will be no air and people will be dying.
And those thoughts came to you, had you had those thoughts before this experience?
No.
No. And how did those thoughts come to you? Did they come to you from the craft, or from...
From the man.
The man. And did the man say those things to you? How did he get that across to you?
Well, he never said anything. It's just that the face is the eyes.
What was the sense you got from those eyes?
He was interested.
I saw only evil.
Do what?
He said, we see through eyes. I saw only evil.
Yeah. What I saw in that boy's eyes was purely evil.
Evil. Sorry, guys. You know us.
But yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool. How do you even talk to a child about something like this?
See, the thing, so the thing you got to understand too is where these children live at.
Right.
So
they're in Zimbabwe, Africa.
When they get a completely different upbringing, and I'm sure they're being taught completely differently than people in a first world country or whatever. Like I would say they probably get taught to take care of their land a lot better.
Right.
So would you think that these aliens or this UFOs, whatever you want to call them, would you think they would go there because they know that these people potentially will listen? And children are more, what's the word I'm looking for? Open-minded to say this. I guess. Is the word,
yeah.
They're more susceptible to be able to take that. Their mind's not so blocked.
Right. Right.
So maybe if they're telepathic, as an adult, you may shut that down.
Right.
And they can't get into your psyche. But as a child, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You're right. All right. Hold on just a minute. All right. So let's watch this little video here about this professor.
Something scared you, is that right?
Yes.
What scared you?
The noise.
What noise?
The noise that we heard in the air.
You heard a noise in the air?
Yes.
What was it like? Like a roar or a buzz or a hum or what kind of a noise?
It was like someone was blowing a flute. It was scary myself.
It was scary because you saw something yourself?
Yes. I saw a little object hovering. It was quite big actually, and then there was little ones all around it. We saw something silver, and then we quickly ran to the logs, and we saw a silver thing, and we saw a man standing next to it.
What did it feel like when he was looking at you?
I felt scared.
It felt scared? What was scary about it?
Well, I felt scared because I've never seen such a person like that before.
Did you see the eyes? What did they look like?
They were going like that.
Where was the pointy part? Was the pointy part in here or was the pointy part out there? Up there.
Yeah. See, all these kids are describing the
What was
same
feeling when
thing.
you looked at the eyes.
It was scary.
And what scary? Why? What made it scary?
The eyes looked evil.
Evil. And what was evil about them? Say what you mean by evil.
It looked evil because it was just staring at me.
With what? Staring at you as if what? As if to do what?
As if it wanted to come and take us.
As if it wanted to come and take you. That was the feeling you got? That it wanted you to go with it? Did you feel like you wanted to go with it? No. Did you feel, what was the effect on you when you felt it wanted to have you go with it?
I just walked away and I started crying.
Man, how horrifying for a kid.
Right.
You know, to you know, you're at school, you're supposed to well, I mean, we've had a lot of issues here lately, especially in this country, you know, about, you know, you're at school, you should feel safe. You go out for recess and all of a sudden here comes, you know, Paul the alien to try to try and take you somewhere. It's very crazy. These kids, like I said earlier, these kids were horrified.
You know,
I mean, just absolutely horrified. And some of the teachers talked about it too, about what, you know, what had happened. You know, like all these kids came running down to tell them that they had, you know, what they had seen and stuff. And well, here's a little short clip of the teachers here.
They came running up here in such a panic. And I mean, even if we had staged it, they could not have run all together like that. Even if we practiced it, I don't know how many times. But they came up here like a living snake. And they just came, we were in a staff meeting and we just heard them screaming, ah, and then they were here, you know, and a child can't make that up.
I was very skeptical in the beginning as well. I believed that they'd seen something, but I wasn't prepared to accept that it was anything supernatural, anything like that. But I think the consistency of what's been going on indicates that it was more than I was prepared to admit in the beginning.
I mean,
my question is, surely there's got to be teachers who's seen it.
Yeah, as far as I know from, you know, the little bit of research I did on this story, that none of the teachers saw this. But it kind of begs the question of how did none of the teachers see this? Were
Right.
there not any adults out there with these kids? Now, from what I hear, these kids had moved away, not moved away, but they had went to like the edge of the playground to an area they really weren't supposed to be,
Right.
but they were still on school property. And that's when they saw this stuff. There was an interview, which I didn't pull this in, but there was an interview from two of the little blonde girl, Emma, that we heard from, and her friend. Oh, what was her friend's name? But anyway, they were standing in the playground and both looked over and they could see flashing lights like down by the ground. And so they had walked over to see what was going on. Right. And then a bunch of other kids had walked over there. And apparently we know there was an account of at least one UFO there, but there's also been stories from other children that they had seen two. Now, you look at that and you think, okay, you can't believe everything a kid says. We're talking 60 kids. 60 kids are not going to lie about what they just saw.
Right. My thing
and not tell the same story.
I try to look at everything objectively too, because don't get me wrong, you guys know I believe in a lot of this stuff, and I 100% do. But I also believe that we should do our due diligence to make sure that, anybody who like says, "Oh, there's nothing that's real," not blah blah blah, you're just not open minded, and you're not thinking.
Right.
You should do your research. By all means, do your research.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't just trust what anyone says. Always look up for stuff for yourself. That's why.
And definitely don't trust what the fuck we say.
No, you trust me all the time. Just don't trust that guy. Trust me. I trusted him 5 years ago, and look where I'm at now.
Yeah.
But no. So I look at these videos and I'm trying to watch these kids. And when you're interviewing people, you can't. It's like the same thing with psychics.
Everybody's nervous, but you can watch their body language.
And you don't lead. Like, I don't lead the. I wish they wouldn't lead the kids so much.
Right.
I could tell some of them were thinking and stuff, and were actually thinking about what was going on. But I feel like sometimes they lead with these questions, right, and lead them into a certain direction to talk.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. But here, this last video here is actually of Professor John Mack talking about the whole incident and his interviews with them and stuff. So we'll listen to what he has to say, and then we've got some interesting information about him.
Describe these experiences or these events like a person talks about something that has happened to them, and when you're talking with a psychotic who's telling you something and it's a delusion and you feel that it really didn't happen, I can tell. I mean, I know this is something that person wants me to believe, or they're frightened, or they're distorting reality in some way. There's nothing like that here. These are people of sound mind, by and large, telling me something that's they know that I might think they're crazy, and so they're a little concerned about telling me, and they're very full of questioning themselves and doubt, and I mean and then they describe something very real and intense, a light or something happened to their body, or it's the whole quality of the way they talk about it is the way a person talks about experience that happened to them.
Yeah, so I mean, this guy is credible. He knows what he's talking about. He's been a professor for Harvard for years. Interesting thing. Well, it's not interesting. It's kind of sad. So this whole incident occurred, around the end of 1994, and Professor John Mack was actually strangely killed by a drunk driver just a couple years later. I'll be honest, I don't remember how much later it was, but unfortunately he's gone. but they've went back and they've interviewed some of these kids that they had interviewed in the past. They interviewed them like 20 years later, you know, and of course they're all grown adults and stuff. And some of the interviews that I watched of these kids now that they're older, they're still telling the same story. But what was interesting about them is when you're watching these interviews, these people are still scared.
Mm.
You know, you can tell that they don't. I don't know, man. It's crazy.
Well, it's like they say that whenever a lot of stuff it's important. The events that happen in your childhood have a huge effect on you the rest of your life.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's just like, you know, so it's like if, as much as I don't want to talk about it, but something happens to a child and it's in a sexual manner. Even
Yeah.
let's just say the best case scenario. Let's say you're a boy, you're 11, 12 years old, and you see something, and that that gets you where you need to be at.
Yeah.
That's what
If you see something, say something.
well, no, you say yeah, say you see something, and it's kind of fucked up, but it affects your psyche to the point where you. So as you get older, you are into that. So, when something happens and you see it, it makes you excited. So the same thing can be said about something that scares you. That's like with people who are afraid of, clowns. We talked about that the other day. People
Don't be
who are
clowning.
People who are afraid of clowns. People who are afraid of, anything. Snakes. Something could have happened when they were a kid, and a snake came and it scared them, and that was stuck with them the rest of their life. And then there's also, just because I want to go this direction with it, there's also a possibility that these people know that they better tell the same fucking story, or they're gonna what's gonna happen to them is gonna happen to the fucking same thing that happened to the professor.
Right. Well, yeah.
You just never know. But so my question is for you, two things I wanted to talk with you about. So these adults, so none of them seen it. So that begs to ask the question of what the hell were they doing? Or
Well, if they're like adults in most schools now. Well, see, we're talking 1994,
Right. And not only that, but this is a school, like I say, and this is by no means downgrading this Zimbabwe. This is actually making a positive comment.
Yeah.
These schools are probably a lot more proper. They're
Yeah.
probably a lot more, guidelines and in the rules.
One of the little girls, Emma, as an adult, they were interviewing her, and she said, it was really cool going to the school because, you're in Zimbabwe. So she said, in the morning on your car ride on the way to school, you'd be seeing giraffe and all kinds of stuff, And so she said, as students, we were outside most of the time. Mm-hmm. They had a lot of classes outside and different things, so we were always seeing these different animals and different stuff. But this particular day was different.
That's the whole thing. Like, so, and I'm just completely asking all the questions I could think of.
Do it.
So like, if none of these adults seen anything, so what the hell are they doing?
Yeah.
Or are these kids making it up? But then you go like, okay, well, if they're making it up, how are all of them keeping their story together?
Right.
And then you go back to the part of when I said earlier about how children are more susceptible to seeing things, and just like,
Mm-hmm.
their minds are more open.
Yeah.
So was this something that only these certain children could see because that's what they wanted? That's who they wanted to see.
Well, what I question is the time frame here. How long of a period of time did this happen?
Incident,
Was this incident just a couple seconds? Was it a couple minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes?
From what I'm hearing from the interviews, it sounds like it was fairly quickly.
Yeah.
It sounds like it was long enough for these kids to be like, oh shit, I see something. They telepathically communicate with the kids for a good minute, and the kids are like, fuck this, and they ran.
Right.
That's kind of what it sounds like.
But did anybody see these, craft actually leave? I'm not sure.
Right.
I'm really not sure. Now I've watched a documentary on this and a bunch of different things. In fact, that's where some of this footage came from. Yeah, very interesting story. Very interesting story.
So
if you guys want to look more into this, this is the Ariel School UFO incident. And there's a lot of info out there on it. There's a lot of misconception on it too.
Right. So there's something to look at.
But yeah, kind of cool. All right, so we're gonna move on here, but so like I said, a lot of this footage that's coming up now is public footage. We actually got this from a page on YouTube. It's a channel called AFO, and
go check them out.
Yeah, go over there and check them out. They've got a lot of really cool stuff on there. I just pulled a little bit of their footage, so you will hear on some of this footage, you will hear their people talking over the footage, and we'll try not to talk over it. We have no rights to this. We're not making money off of this by no means. We just wanted to
disperse,
put some of their footage out for our listeners to see. And if you're interested in their stuff, you can go over to their YouTube page. Like I said, it's AFO, and see a lot more. We just pulled some little short clips out of there. So here we go.
Recorded from a doorbell camera in Sunrise, Florida, 3 lights float as more or less an equilateral triangle before separating. What is assumed to be the same event by a different witness was also captured.
You cannot tell me.
That is fucking cool, dude.
By speeding the footage up, the synced and fluid motion between the objects becomes even more apparent. It almost looks as if they are attached together in some way. They make an almost perfect rotation as one.
Crazy. Very cool footage out there. Now that one was actually caught on a Ring doorbell camera. There's so much out there. Here's
now.
for you guys just listening, what we were watching was footage from a Ring doorbell camera. It's 3 lights in the sky in perfect unison, and you can watch them go across the sky, and it actually even turns. It's kind of like they're tethered together somehow.
Like the old stripper shows.
They were pole dancing. I don't know.
Somebody taking a piss? See, so like this one here, same thing, triangle.
Yeah.
3 dots.
This one's got a red light right in the middle of it.
So I'm wondering what the hell that is. And these lights are a lot brighter, it seems.
Yeah.
And you can actually see like a mass.
Well, and they got a better picture of it. This is, actual camera footage of this one. But even it's rotating and, tethered together the whole time. It's very interesting. Let's see. Let's move on to this one. Oh, now this I've seen before. Just an anomaly up in the sky. It's really crazy. It's almost like there's a spotlight above the cloud moving around. Sorry about all the wind noise.
Not a UFO, but some great footage of a meteorological phenomenon known as a crown flash.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, now they call this a crown flash, but it's very hard to not look at that and think that there's something going on there.
Thor's up there kicking ass.
Yeah, it's very interesting footage. So let's move on. Moving on. Now this one was kind of cool.
Almost looks like could be a drone almost.
Yeah, but I don't know. That's an awful big drone.
Pretty cool.
I mean, if that's what it is, that's pretty crazy looking.
I see that the end there kind of seen coming through from the front of the trees there.
Right.
Footage of a U.S. military-certified UFO was released at the Senate hearings earlier this year. They don't know what the object is or what it could be.
Top of the screen, there it goes, and then the camera will slew to follow it. You'll see it pop in and out of the field of view there.
Yeah, this is crazy. It looks like a freaking ball bearing flying through the
event from
air.
some years ago.
U.S. intelligence states that over 50% of UFO witness reports from aviation employees are of the metallic orb class.
Interesting. And they were saying,
now, could that be a
I've
balloon?
added a handful of sightings that struck me as similar.
Yeah, it definitely looks like the same thing. That's crazy. And then so it's for people just listening, there's it looks like a metal ball bearing kind of, and all of a sudden it's just there and then it's just gone.
It just disappears. It disappears. Bis.
Disappears.
Bis. Let's see what this one is here. Oh yeah, this is just, there's no audio on this, but what they're doing is they're showing a satellite image, and on the satellite image on the horizon of the Earth there are 5, looks like, I don't really know what that is. It almost, when you look at it, it looks like a segmented caterpillar, or something. Calopeller. But yeah, I'm not really sure what this is now. And we've talked about this before. Doesn't Starlink look something similar to that?
I think so, but
possibly.
I think it's more of when it's taking off, it looks like that.
Okay.
Like you see the light, the ball's light behind it.
Yeah,
I'm not quite sure what it looks like once it's set.
Yeah, this is I don't know. It's
interesting.
It's definitely something.
It's just a little kid shooting a BB gun up at a camera.
Shooting a BB gun at the camera. Yeah, and this is like a metallic ball that was caught on satellite image over a road.
Interesting.
Yeah, crazy.
So but, I think that who really know this, and this is what's cool about it for me, is that, so we've talked about this quite often, how there's no imagination anymore. There's no there's no mystery. Like everything's right there in front of you.
Yeah.
But with this, you
can look at it and you can be like, what the hell is that?
Well, it's like the information's there, but we don't know what that information is.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that mystery's still there of what if, you know what I mean? It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
All right, stick with us. We've got a couple more of these to go, and yeah. All right, so we've just got a few more of these that we want to show you, and then we're going to get to a little interview at the end here. Not us interviewing somebody, but an interview that I pulled that I think everybody needs to hear. So here's this next one.
What the?
So this was actually a TikTok video that somebody took, and you're going to hear the guy talking about this. But basically what they've done is they've found 5 spheres.
With the understandably frantic and rushed recording job done here, it's easy to miss what was truly impressive about this footage. But what was almost hidden at first is clearly exposed thanks to some great tracking done by QSEC. Look close at the right-hand side of the most predominant UFO. 5 less obvious objects can be seen in alignment. They are then seen through the trees and right up until the end of the clip, where they appear to form a V shape right before flying off. CGI is a possibility here, but OP gives his opinion on why he thinks it's unlikely. Quote, I think CGI can be most likely ruled out here, since several of the UAPs are barely visible through the trees. This is very hard to achieve unless you have the trees as a static front layer. Since the trees are moving and are correctly following camera parallax, the only other option is for manual editing, which is quite hard and doesn't seem to be the case here. The recording job is also not amazing. The camera is spun around and it's hard to tell what to focus on. With most CGI work, subtlety is rare. You usually see everything the creator wanted you to see on the first viewing, with little to no obstructions. This footage, however, is quite the opposite. The profile that posted this footage also seems to be a legit personal account who sporadically posts videos of his dogs every few months. It doesn't really make much sense as to why he would randomly create high-quality CGI footage just to leave on a profile he barely pays attention to. Just to reiterate, this doesn't mean the clip is 100% legit, just that these reasons help add to it being authentic.
Interesting.
Kind of cool.
Like
I like the guy's description of that too,
Yes,
you know.
very much so.
I mean, because we all know that, you know, you can manipulate footage and make it really be whatever you want. I mean, even me in my limited capacity can pretty much do whatever the hell I want, you know. And I'm very limited at my editing, as you can tell by watching our shows.
Look at him; he's very limited.
Yeah, yeah. I'm very limited. Let's move on here.
Here you can see UFOs pulsing with light and then fading into the darkness.
It's moving so fast.
Like, there's no way I can explain that.
Now, I have
It
seen
kinda
that
looks
before.
like a hospital heart rate monitor in the sky.
It's a UFO.
5 pulses were recorded before the video ends.
I've actually seen something like that myself.
Yeah. Oh, actually, in true life, huh?
Yeah.
True life.
In the real life,
Yeah.
I've actually seen something like that.
The most interesting thing I've ever seen was, and I've told this story before, driving down the highway between the town I work in and the town I live in. About halfway through, off to the north side of the highway, I saw some sort of triangular craft with no lights on it. But it was weird. It was like, as I was driving down the highway, I looked off to my right-hand side and I could see it just above the trees. I couldn't hear anything. I turned the stereo off, and of course I rolled down the window, but I'm getting air blowing from the highway, you know. I couldn't hear anything, but it was like a black void in the sky, and it was kind of triangular shaped. I have no idea what that was, or if I'm the only one that saw it. I don't think so, because there was a lot of brake lights going on at that time. But you know, we are on 44, so you know,
Yeah,
people don't know how to drive. All right, let's move on here.
See, that's the one that I put up on.
Yeah, this one's kind of cool. This is actual footage from a small airplane, like a private airplane, and something flies past them that's pretty unexplainable. And the way the guy, when he found the video, he slowed it down and he enhanced it and, kind of zoomed in on what was flying by. And it's very,
almost looked like a freaking starfish, or not starfish, a freaking
like a stingray.
Stingray.
Yeah.
That's crazy
Yeah.
looking.
Very cool.
Pulled from a U.S. news channel, footage of
Oh,
an
this was
object
cool.
instantly accelerating over the city of Boston.
Yeah. That was pretty cool. He actually pulled this off of some TV footage. They were doing a skyline video.
To be a camera glitch that caused the stream to freeze. The explanation was quickly debunked by the uploader, who shows us here that the rest of the world is still in motion whilst the UFO is paused.
Now, like I say, you can do a lot in editing, but I don't know. That's
pretty cool because it was off that actual news thing.
Yeah, that was somebody's news, like somebody watching news on TV and saw that.
A viscous smoke-like web moves over a lake in Australia. A convincing explanation is yet to be given.
The fuck is that?
Some dismissed it as a smudge on a window. Here, I track the position to show the slow distortion/spread of the formation.
I told JT it looked like bird shit on a
Yeah,
window.
it really does. I mean, it looks like, they're maybe recording that through a windshield and it's like a splotch of, I don't know, some shit or something on their windshield, but it's
interesting.
A viscous smoke-like web moves over a lake in Australia. A convincing explanation is yet.
I mean, it's very cool that I don't know, man. That's hard to describe because what's us over here too,
right? Well, now that you think about it, they're standing somewhere.
Yeah,
too,
yeah.
So it's not like they're behind a big giant pane of glass.
Right. Yeah, guys, just get online. There is some really cool footage of some of this stuff that, it's the reason why we're so interested in it is because it's unexplainable. It's unidentified.
Right. It's that mystery that.
Right. But
all this evidence is out there, all the stuff's going on, but no one really knows what the hell really is going on.
Right. So what I'm going to leave you with tonight is we had talked earlier about the oversight committee and their interview and stuff. And I've got a small snippet of part of that interview plus another interview with David Grush, who is known as the government whistleblower. And it's very cool. If you didn't get to see any of that oversight committee footage, you can still find it. It's on YouTube. The government hasn't taken it down or anything. But let's just listen to this, and I'll let you guys draw your own conclusions here.
If you believe we have crashed craft, stated earlier, do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
As I've stated publicly already in my News Nation interview, biologics came with some of these recoveries. Yeah.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human, and that was the assessment of people with direct knowledge on the program I talked to that are currently still on the program.
When you say crash retrieval, what do you mean?
These are retrieving non-human origin technical vehicles, call it spacecraft if you will. It's probably not the right parlance, but no kidding, non-human, exotic origin vehicles that have either landed or crashed.
We have spacecraft from another species.
We do, yeah.
Yeah, he was on Rogan too. He went on Joe Rogan's podcast.
We need to get him on here.
Fuck.
That did cost us a lot of money.
I just looked on his show.
Yeah.
Sniff.
Oh, no. I'm talking about Grush.
Oh, him?
Not Joe Rogan.
Yeah, I'm sure he probably fucking.
Joe Rogan to be like, fuck you guys.
Fuck you little douchebags.
Fuck it.
You little losers.
Penis.
Little penis dragon.
But yeah, I mean, there's so much good footage out there. I just pulled a few little pieces. Actually want to give a shout out to AFO again. They did a great job putting a lot of this footage together. I love this stuff. Here's my thoughts on it. If you think that, well, you can think whatever you want. I'm going to tell you my opinion on it. I believe there's something else out there. We've seen too many strange things that are not possible on Earth. We've seen these planes. One of these guys was talking about. They were talking to aviation specialist or some military guy, and he was talking about the speed of some of these objects moving and stuff, and they said, that's speeds that we can't obtain in our current technology. And some of the footage, they went and analyzed it, and there was several pieces of footage, but one of them, he was talking about this particular object is flying at a rate of 13,000 miles per hour. And it makes a 90-degree turn and continues to fly at 13,000 miles per hour. We can analyze that. We know what speed it's flying at. We know for certain that it's flying at this speed. He said, if we had aircraft that could fly at 13,000 miles an hour, we would not be able to make a 90-degree turn. We would be able to turn at 13,000 miles an hour, but
it'd be a fucking
the loop it would take us to turn 90 degrees would be about the size of the state of Indiana.
Right.
And this thing changed direction on a dime. And he said, there's no way we can do that. There's nothing on Earth that can do that.
Right. Yeah, man. I mean, my thoughts on it
Crazy.
for sure. There's definitely stuff out there. I think there's definitely things already here.
Yeah.
I think it just depends on, everyone has the right to believe whatever they want. And that's the whole point of this. And what's cool about it is there's a lot of evidence out there. But what's really cool about it is even though there's all this evidence and all this shit, we don't know what the fuck's going on.
We don't.
So that's what's cool. That's what's cool about it.
But guys like us keep pushing the envelope and trying to see as much of this stuff as we can.
Trying to figure it out.
And I don't know that we'll ever figure it out until somebody comes down and says, hey, we're aliens. We've been watching your planet for years. Bend over.
It's probing time.
So. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed some of that footage. Like I said, if you're not watching the stream on YouTube,
you guys got to go to our YouTube.
You guys got to go over there and check it out.
Like, share, and subscribe, man.
It's easy.
And it's free. That's the best
and
part.
it's free. It doesn't cost you a thing. You get to see our beautiful faces, plus some of the stupid nonsense we talk about.
Helps us out a lot. So
if you're listening, thank you so much for listening and being part of the horror fam. But this particular episode, you really need to watch because there's some stuff on there that you just won't believe it until you see it. And then you may still not believe it. But yeah, check out our website, keepitcreepy.com.
Go over our TikTok.
Horror Chronicles. Old Ryan's been busting ass on the TikTok. And
check us out.
Yeah.
But more importantly, guys, we love you. Thank you for supporting.
Absolutely.
As always.
Absolutely.
And as always, until next time, keep it creepy.